I quit my job as CEO, and today I'm going to tell you the reason why. I recently quit my job as CEO, and that has been a very difficult thing to do and a difficult journey in many ways since then. I want to share that story with you today, and I want you to listen to this Jordan Peterson quote, but I quite like to go and get a coffee and talk to you about it while I'm having a coffee. So I'm going to go get myself set up in the truck, and while I do that, I want you to have a listen to this quote.
Find something difficult to do. You need that. You're not built for comfort or pleasure. Like if that comes along, good. You know, if you have a day where you're comfortable and there's some things around you that give pleasure.
There you go, Jordan Peterson talking about exactly what I shared at the top of the video, that men need to do difficult things and not set themselves up for a life that is just focused on comfort or pleasure. If those things happen to come our way, then great, but we need to accept the fact that doing difficult things is part of the journey of becoming a man and becoming everything that we're supposed to be as men. So that's why I've been doing this mini-series, telling these stories about doing difficult things and sharing some of the difficult things that I've had to do and have been doing in my life. And this particular story that I've started today, talking about this idea of quitting my job as CEO, I want to tell you that story, and then I want you to hang around all the way till the end if you can, because I want to share the reasons why I did that and what I'm learning in the process. So let me take you back to the start of this story. I've spent, up until the end of 2021, I spent nearly 25 years working in the not-for-profit sector, doing a range of things from leadership training to staff development to crisis counselling to problem solving to financial management to vision casting, you name it. Everything that you could possibly imagine would happen in a leadership space. And I basically went on this journey in my career of starting out, you know, at the bottom of the organisational leadership ladder, if you like, and then working my way through to the point where in 2009 I was appointed effectively the CEO of this not-for-profit organisation. And in our business, we basically had a mixture of community service or charity agencies. We had private schooling, we had churches in different places around Australia, and it was this whole mixed bag of not-for-profit businesses that I was the CEO of. And as I said a moment ago, my duties extended to, you know, personnel selection, financial management, marketing and advertising, right down to the grassroots nature of pastoral care, looking after families, marriage counselling, helping teenagers through their problems, this, that and everything else. And over that period of 25 years, as most people do when they stay in a career for a long period of time, I became really quite proficient at a lot of these competencies. And I share often with people about how leadership in that sort of an organisation demands more of a person than most other roles do. You're required to be competent at so many different skills and abilities, which is not very common to many industries. But in that not-for-profit space, I had to become really very good at lots of different things. And fortunately, through training and application and learning from other people and so forth, I did become very proficient. But then, as I said, in 2021, I went ahead and executed on the plan that I had been hatching, if you like, for several years prior, and that was to actually quit the job and hand over to other people. And I want to talk for a moment or two about how and why that's been a difficult journey and a difficult thing. I kind of knew it would be a difficult thing, but let me talk through some of the factors around why. You know, I spent, as I said, nearly 25 years in that role, and as you go through an organisation and you learn more and you get promoted through the ranks, your responsibilities go up, but so too does your salary and your benefits and all the rest of it. And I got to this point in the end of 2021 where I basically walked away from all of that. And it's not easy when you have a wife and two children and housing expenses and school fees and utilities and the same thing that everyone else has got to pay and take care of. It's not easy to walk away from that full-time salary where every week your wage is coming in and you've got money there to pay your bills. And I walked away from all of that, and that's been difficult. I've gone into a zone where I've started my own businesses and had to go from scratch. But that's the first thing, that walking away from a reliable full-time salary was not an easy thing to do. And if I'm being honest, it's put some extra pressure on our family life that I kind of knew was coming, but it's still been difficult to walk through. We've had some many weeks actually where we've only just been able to meet our expenses because I'm in a rebuilding phase. And so the financial side of this decision has been really quite challenging. A second thing in this that has been difficult, and as I share these reasons and these experiences, I'm sure there's plenty of people out there watching this video who can relate to this same experience of having to start over and begin again from scratch. And it's not easy to do. It's really, really challenging to do. And I guess that's the second thing that I've found has been really difficult. I've gone from a situation of being quite well known, I guess you could say, in my previous career and industry space, and moved into a brand new space where it's like starting over from scratch all over again, where I have started a few businesses in the last few years. And it's interesting being in the situation where your skill level is really quite high comparatively across the industries that you're working in. However, your network and the reach of the number of people who know about you and your skill is extremely low in comparison. And so that alone has been really quite challenging, as I've had to start over from scratch. And despite having some very accomplished skills in leadership and training and public speaking and advising and consulting and change management in organizations and all these wide range of skills that are really quite accomplished, I've had to do that in a brand new context where, to begin with, basically nobody in a new space knows who I am or what I'm capable of. And so it's been challenging on a number of fronts, because I went from this well-known, well-paid space into unknown, unpaid. And it's been stressful and it's been challenging and it's been difficult, not just on the financial side, not just on the side of trying to establish some traction, although those things are obvious, but even on the side of manhood that we've got to talk about, on the ego side. All of us, including me, have got some level of ego. We want to be proud of our achievements and our accomplishments. We want to be considered successful in the spaces that we work in. And that also has been a challenging part of the last few years, is that I've gone into this unknown space where really nobody knows what I'm capable of, and I've had to start again as if I was in my first few months of working in these spaces, when actually I've been experienced in there for over a quarter of a century. So financially it's been very difficult. Starting over brand new has been difficult. And then probably another thing that I'd mention is that for any of you who've started a business or started several businesses, or even just starting a new job, starting a new career path, as many of you would know, very, very challenging, because everything's brand new and you basically have to go through the process of lots of delay and lots of mistakes and lots of hold-ups and everything starting over. And so that's been one of the situations that I've had to face as well, where businesses that I've been starting, they face all kinds of hurdles, and it's a little bit like trying to launch an aeroplane, a massive passenger jet into the sky. There's an enormous amount of petrol burn that has to take place to get that thing down the runway and get it into the air. And once it's actually flying at the right altitude, it burns far less fuel and it cuts through the air a whole lot easier. But until you get it into that airborne state, it's very, very difficult. And I guess that's where I've been the last few years, is I've expended a huge amount of energy trying to re-establish myself career-wise and financially. And I'm only just now at the start of the fourth year after my career change, I'm only just now starting to get a little bit of a taste of some momentum and some traction. And as I said, I've started a few businesses. I've started a consulting business. I've started a leadership training business. I've started a business that's involved in real estate photography. I've started a business that is importing prefab modular houses into Australia. And so it's a wide range of new work that I'm doing. But as I said, financially, and the lack of network and the enormous amount of energy that you've got to expend to get something off the ground, these have all been difficult things and difficult challenges. And you know, I'm sort of under the pump on all of those fronts, but I'm also feeling the pressure of needing to provide and perform for my family. And it's kind of difficult me watching my children watching me, if that makes sense, go through the back and forth of watching their dad go through these struggles and these challenges. And so there's a variety of all kinds of things that become difficult in a new season like this one. Let's get a small flat white, please.
Anything else?
That's it today, thanks.
Gracias.
Thank you. So that's been another factor as well that's challenging, is watching your children see you go through the transition, and in your own heart as a man, you know that they know that you're struggling at times and you're having difficulties and it's not easy. And so there's all these pressures that come from starting over. But the interesting thing that I need you to know as I share this story is that I've gone into this new phase because I made the decision to quit my job as CEO. I made that choice. I planned the entire thing from scratch. And in a moment's time, I want to share with you why I did that and what I'm learning. But it's really important to understand that I chose this difficult path. It wasn't forced upon me like lots of people have to experience. I chose this path and it is challenging. And so I want to share with you why that's the case. Thank you. Thanks. So yeah, getting back to what I was saying about this, all came by my design. It wasn't forced on me, as is the case very sadly for some people, where they're working effectively in a certain job in a certain industry and then that role is stripped out from underneath them. But I did this by design, and I want to take a moment to share with you why I've done this, why I made such a choice to quit my role as CEO, and what I'm learning in that process. Because some of you could be in a similar situation where you're contemplating a changing career, contemplating a change of season, or you're suspecting that that change could be forced upon you in the near future, and you're wondering what things are going to look like as you go into a brand new chapter of contemplating what life will look like in that new season. So let's talk for a minute about why I made this big change, why I quit my job as CEO. Why would I take on a difficult task like this? There's a few reasons that I want to share with you. I guess one of the reasons why I made this decision to quit a safe and, well-known role where I was well paid and well respected and all these things is I always saw my role and my responsibility in that organisation as being like a runner in a relay race, where my task was to make sure that the organisation was well set up for the future. I never really viewed my role as being like a life membership or, just hold on to the job until I died or till I retired. But I had this inbuilt thought from a young age that my responsibility in that position would be to make sure that I moved the organisation into health and then to get it set up for its next chapter and its future. And so a lot of people, when I made this decision, a lot of colleagues actually challenged me and said, why would you do this? Why would you go through all the pain you've been through and all the challenge of getting the organisation healthy and then, walk away from that role when you've finally gotten the thing to where it needs to be. And I can understand their perspective a little bit, I guess, but my focus had never been on trying to stay in the role forever. My focus had been on making sure that the organisation would outlast me and outsurvive me. So that was one reason. Probably another really important reason, and I guess it ties into why this has been a difficult thing, but another reason is because there's something on the inside of me that wants to be challenged by the new. I actually enjoy taking on something unknown, something that is not guaranteed to succeed, and I enjoy the risk of the entrepreneurial side of starting something from scratch and challenging myself about whether I can actually succeed and make it work. And so knowing that it was my task to hand over the organisation into the hands of new leaders in a healthy state and ready for its future, combined with the possibility of, I wonder if I can do it all again. I wonder if I've got what it takes on the inside to start from scratch and build something brand new and succeed. That to me was an attractive thing. And I guess it's important to share that message with men everywhere, that we need to not be afraid of starting over. There are less risky ways to do it than the way I've done it, for sure, and you should try to be as wise as possible. But there's something about the sense of adventure that gets woken up when we take on something new and we allow ourselves to be challenged by some things that we're really not sure whether we can succeed in. And as I sit here today, it's January 2025. I'm moving into the 4th year post that role as a CEO of a not-for-profit organisation. And honestly, I'm still very much challenged by whether or not I've got what it takes to succeed in this new chapter. I hope I do. I think I do, but I really don't know yet. I have to provide for my family. I've got to be able to leave an inheritance for my children, and I want us to enjoy our life. And I've got things that I want to achieve and things I want to be successful at. But if I'm being really honest, as I sit here today, I don't know. It could fail and it could succeed. And I guess what I'm trying to encourage people with is, if you're finding yourself in that same situation between chapters and starting over and going into a new phase like that, I want you to try and believe that you actually are born for it and that you've actually got that wiring in you as a man to be able to take on that new challenge. And so I guess they're the reasons why I quit my job as the CEO. And then I said I'd talk to you about what I'm learning at the moment. Well, that could take a long time because I'm learning a lot, to be fair. Some things I didn't know I was going to learn, some things I didn't know were going to come to the surface, but I guess I'm learning that I have to be humble. I'm learning that I have to be a learner all over again. I guess I'm relearning another time the value of relationships and maintaining integrity in relationships. I'm learning to regain and rediscover energy for taking on something brand new that needs so much resource and so much time and so much of the best of me. I'm learning a lot of things. I'm learning that it's okay to start a new chapter. Sometimes when we go from one chapter to another chapter, we spend a lot of time grieving the old chapter. It feels like a bit of a death, and I'm learning that that's okay too, that you can actually look back and be a bit reflective about the fact that a chapter of your life is now finished and you can't have it back. It's closed and it's over and you need to move on. And so I'm learning a lot of things. I guess the number one thing that I'm learning in the middle of this is that it's actually a part of my identity as a man that I've got what it takes to do difficult things. And I'm okay with doing difficult things. And I've made friends with and accepted the fact that difficult things are a part of the pathway. And so I guess I want to encourage you guys with that today, that if you're doing something difficult, if you're having a start over of career, if you are going through some kind of health challenge or financial challenge or relationship challenge, whatever it might be, sometimes you get momentum just from accepting the fact that difficult things are part of the journey, and that as a man, you're wired to be able to cope with that and actually to overcome and succeed. And so look, if you're in that situation, I'd love you to drop something in the comments below. Tell me what your story is about, what part of your life is a challenge and difficult for you at the moment. And I'd love to hear your story. I'd love to hear what you're going through so that we can share together this journey of men needing to do difficult things. If you didn't get the opportunity yet, maybe this is the first story in this series that you're watching, but you didn't get the chance yet to watch the video where all of this got kick-started, you can click on that link right here now. It's the video where I discuss in greater length Jordan Peterson and his quote around men needing to do difficult things. Well, that's about it for that story today. I've got one more coming in the series. I'd love you to watch that. So thanks for watching today, and I'll see you in another video real soon.